SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 General Manager Mode. You know what? You love it. You've spent hours upon hours immersed into it. But have you ever played it like this? I'm going head to head with one of the most well-known AI engines I'm sure you've heard of, ChatGPT. This engine will be making all of its roster decisions, from contracts to booking and even rivalries. This is not your standard playthrough. We'll be tested. It's beaten us before. Can we redeem ourselves and defeat ChatGPT in GM mode? Draft day, big day. We're running with SmackDown and we've got the first pick. I'm going to turn the WWE landscape upside down by bringing Triple H to SmackDown as World Heavyweight Champion. Raw would respond with John Cena coming over to Monday nights, eventually chosen as WWE Champion. When the dust settled, SmackDown sported a roster that featured multiple threats to Triple H's title like Kurt Angle, Eddie Guerrero, and The Undertaker. The Cruiserweight and Tag Team division was well off with champions like RVD and Los Guerreros, but the mid-card was absolutely stacked with stars like JBL, United States Champion Booker T, Kane, Christian, and more. ChatGPT drafted a roster that was flooded with future Hall of Famers. Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, Y2J, HBK, Edge, and Batista could all justifiably challenge for the WWE title, and that's not even the full list. Y2J was chosen as the Intercontinental Champion, while Rated RKO would be reunited and selected as Tag Team Champions, and Trish Stratus would start as the Women's Champion. Let's get into it. Shelton Benjamin aligned with Ric Flair and defeated WWE Champion John Cena in a singles match on Raw, setting him up as the #1 contender. Trish Stratus successfully defended her title against Stacy Keibler. Batista and Rey Mysterio defeat Rated RKO in a non-title match and make a challenge for Backlash. Big Show takes on Heidenreich accompanied by Snitsky in a hardcore match, and Big Show gets it done. Rey Mysterio and Batista challenge Randy Orton and Edge, the World Tag Team Champions, and Batista and Rey come out as new tag champs. Shawn Michaels challenging Chris Jericho for the Intercontinental Championship. Shawn Michaels gets close, but ultimately Chris Jericho comes out on top. Triple threat women's action: Stacy Keibler, Lita, and Trish Stratus. Trish Stratus pins Stacy Keibler and goes home still the women's champion. Shelton Benjamin alongside Ric Flair has got a big moment challenging John Cena for the WWE Championship. Ric Flair makes his presence known and Shelton Benjamin is able to turn the tables on John Cena, but John Cena is able to withstand the offensive onslaught and ultimately defend his WWE Championship. RVD and Christian win qualifying matches to compete to face Booker T for the US title. Christian defeats RVD for the title match after using the ropes to secure a victory. RVD would interfere in Christian's title opportunity, allowing Booker T to secure the victory. Big triple threat over on SmackDown between The Undertaker, Kurt Angle, and JBL is able to walk away the new #1 contender for Triple H's title. Daivari and Muhammad Hassan challenged Los Guerreros for the WWE Tag Team titles, and Eddie Guerrero is able to pick up the victory through some rather nefarious tactics. Chris Benoit and Kane have got a bitter grudge match, and it gets brutal and real physical. Ultimately, Chris Benoit is able to do enough damage to take down the Big Red Machine. Triple threat for the United States Championship: Rob Van Dam, Christian the Challengers taking on Booker T. Booker T would be able to successfully defend in this hectic match. The Undertaker taking on Kurt Angle. This match would determine Triple H's next challenger, and The Undertaker would deliver a devastating tombstone piledriver to the gold medalist. JBL and Triple H locked in a cage, Triple H hitting the pedigree and securing his World Heavyweight Championship to end the evening. Chris Jericho defends his Intercontinental Championship against Shelton Benjamin on an episode of Raw, and Shelton Benjamin, under the tutelage of the Nature Boy, is able to become an Intercontinental Champion. Lita became the new Women's Champion by winning an elimination Fatal 4-Way match. Shawn Michaels earned the #1 contendership to face John Cena at Vengeance after a big victory on Raw. Rated RKO, Randy Orton, and Edge using their rematch to challenge for the World Tag Team Champions Rey Mysterio and Batista, and we would see Rated RKO regain their championships. We've got Eugene taking on an embarrassed Chris Masters looking for some redemption. Chris Masters does just that and embarrasses Eugene on an even bigger stage. Trish Stratus challenging Lita in a one-on-one match for the Women's Championship, and Lita is able to hit a moonsault and walk away still champion. William Regal inserting himself into the Intercontinental title picture alongside Chris Jericho facing Shelton Benjamin, and we would see another former champion recapture their gold. Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, taking on the WWE Champion John Cena in a big one-on-one contest. John Cena is able to retain. Christian cost Rob Van Dam his Cruiserweight Championship in a match against Paul London, and Christian would then capture the Cruiserweight title from Paul London a few weeks later. Kurt Angle beats Booker T for the US title on an episode of SmackDown, and Chavo Guerrero gets injured, leaving him out of action, vacating the tag team titles. Kurt Angle saves Eddie Guerrero from a 2-on-1 beatdown from La Resistance. Angle and Guerrero would then team together to become the new tag team champions. The Undertaker has made his intentions clear. He is coming after Triple H. The Great American Bash would open up with Cruiserweight competition, a ladder match for the title. Rob Van Dam taking on the champion Christian. This was a hellacious ladder match, both men putting their bodies on the line and punishing the other. In the end, it was Christian who was able to come down with the Cruiserweight Championship and remain champion. Kurt Angle and Eddie Guerrero successfully defend the WWE Tag Team titles against La Resistance. The man full of toothless aggression, Chris Benoit, taking on JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield. JBL would regret coming to this event, and Chris Benoit would walk away the victor. The United States Championship was successfully defended against Booker T and Carlito by Kurt Angle in his second match of the evening. It's time for the main event of the night. The Dead Man, The Undertaker, taking on the World Heavyweight Champion, The Game, Triple H. In a 5-star match, The Undertaker is able to defeat Triple H and become the new World Heavyweight Champion. Following Triple H's loss at SummerSlam, The Game was absolutely fuming with the results. He took out those frustrations on the new World Heavyweight Champion and his main target, The Undertaker. Lita defended her Women's Championship yet again against Stacy Keibler and Tori Wilson. Kurt Angle would find himself at the end of a 2-on-1 beatdown. Eddie Guerrero would come and fend off La Resistance, but he would also ask Kurt Angle for a US title match at SummerSlam. Shelton Benjamin, Rey Mysterio, Chris Masters, and Chris Jericho for the Intercontinental Championship in a fatal 4-way match. This one was all over the place, and Rey Mysterio seemed to really have himself an opportunity, but Chris Jericho was able to make Chris Masters submit before Rey could secure the pinfall victory. Chris Benoit, Kane, and Booker T would win a 6-man tag team match against JBL, Orlando Jordan, and Christian. ChatGPT dictates tag team action for the ladies at SummerSlam. Trish Stratus and Tori Wilson have turned heel on the women's division, and they pick up a victory over Stacy and Lita. Eddie Guerrero taking on Kurt Angle, his tag team partner, in a highly anticipated United States Championship match. And Eddie Guerrero would defeat his friend at SummerSlam. 5-man WWE Championship match, elimination style format. Shawn Michaels, Big Show, Edge, Randy Orton, and John Cena. It came down to Big Show and John Cena, but Cena's able to successfully defend the WWE Championship, further solidifying his super status. It's time for The Undertaker to get some payback on Triple H for that backstage attack in this Hell in a Cell match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Triple H was a fighter. He wouldn't stay down for long until The Undertaker threw the game off of the cage, and we may never see this man ever again. The Undertaker, Big Evil, remaining the World Heavyweight Champion. Thank you to those who participated in the poll, subsequently making my life fucking terrible for the post-SummerSlam shakeup. We decided to replace 5 current roster members with free agents, meaning we ended up dropping studs like Chris Benoit, Booker T, Kane, and Christian, only to pick up Spike Dudley, Charlie Haas, and fucking Joey Giovanni. Although we did swap Daivari for the Hurricane, I'm not mad about that one. Raw didn't make it out unscathed either, as they had to drop Edge, Rene Dupree, Heidenreich, Eugene, and the Heartbreak Kid for Michelle McCool, Mark Jindrak, Scotty 2 Hotty, Tajiri, and Steven Richards. The free agency pool will open up after respective brands' next pay-per-view, and don't forget to hit that like button if you're enjoying the video. Thanks! Tori Wilson became the new women's champion after defeating Lita thanks to a little help from Trish Stratus. And Batista would shockingly become the new WWE champion on an episode of Raw after defeating John Cena. Chris Masters and new superstar Mark Jindrak made their way into the tag team title picture, although Batista and Rey Mysterio would come out on top. Accompanied by Lita, Michelle McCool would challenge for the Women's Championship against Tori Wilson, accompanied by Trish Stratus. The longtime veteran would be able to stay the Women's Champion in this matchup. Ric Flair, without Shelton Benjamin, challenging Y2J for the Intercontinental title, and quite honestly, this match could have been match of the night because these two were going at it. The Nature Boy and Chris Jericho Y2J, neither man was given an inch, but something eventually had to give, and Y2J was able to come away with the victory. Singles action between Shelton Benjamin and Randy Orton. Off the back of a T-bone suplex, Shelton Benjamin is able to come away with the victory. Rey Mysterio, John Cena, and Batista in a triple threat match for the WWE Championship. This match would have been fun to see in 2005, each man hitting some signature offense and gaining momentum, but ultimately it would be the Animal to successfully retain his WWE title. The Hurricane claims the vacant Cruiserweight title after Christian was shipped over to free agency. Eddie Guerrero decides to stay tagging with Kurt Angle despite Chavo's return to action and ends up defending the tag titles against Chavito. Rob Van Dam with a big victory, inserting himself into the title picture. Triple H would not take kindly to that and respond rather aggressively, aiming to keep RVD out of the picture. Paul London would challenge the new Cruiserweight champion, the Hurricane. After exciting Cruiserweight action, Paul London would come away on top, the new Cruiserweight champion. Christy Hemme would defeat Joey Giovanni in a Fulfill Your Fantasy match. Thank God they took this out of the game. Chavo Guerrero, the disgruntled nephew, challenging his uncle Eddie Guerrero for the United States Championship. Chavito had his moments, but Eddie was able to come away with a victory, pulling a fast one over his nephew. The World Heavyweight Championship was up for grabs in this main event, a fatal four-way match between John Bradshaw Layfield, Rob Van Dam, Triple H, and The Undertaker. And despite the odds stacked against him, it would be the dead man to retain his world title. After completing Unforgiven, ChatGPT was eligible to sign some of the hot free agents sitting in free agency, and they did just that, doing some roster management and picking up some big names like Edge, Shawn Michaels, Christian, and Booker T. And these stars were quick to make an impact, as Edge and Christian were reunited and challenged Batista and Rey Mysterio for the tag team titles. And Edge and Christian waste no time in regaining the World Tag Team titles together. Ric Flair go on one-on-one with his former protege, Shelton Benjamin, and Shelton Benjamin is able to come out on top after a T-bone suplex. Randy Orton, Shawn Michaels, and Chris Jericho in triple threat action for the Intercontinental Championship, and Randy Orton comes out on top. Trish Stratus challenging Tori Wilson, and Trish would regain her women's title after turning on Tori. Booker T would make his return back to Raw in fashion after defeating Big Show in a steel cage match. John Cena challenges Batista in a hardcore match, one-on-one for the WWE Championship. It was brutal, but Big Match John was able to get it done. Kurt Angle would pick up a huge victory on SmackDown. This would give him that World Heavyweight Championship match he's been waiting for. And Chris Jericho would win the #1 contendership to face John Cena. Chris Benoit challenging Latino Heat Eddie Guerrero one-on-one for the United States title, and an absolute slobber knocker, Eddie Guerrero picks up the victory, though it was not without the assistance of his tag team partner Kurt Angle. Shelton Benjamin coming to challenge Randy Orton one-on-one for that Intercontinental title. Randy Orton with an RKO out of nowhere successfully retains his title. The Undertaker defends his World Heavyweight Championship against the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle. It was a tight match, but Eddie Guerrero comes out to assist Kurt Angle, inadvertently doing more damage, costing Kurt Angle the match. John Cena and Chris Jericho going one-on-one. There's a whole lot of allegations about Chris Jericho online right now, but there's one thing that's certain. He has been putting on some bangers in this general manager mode as this video game character. And he and John Cena do not disappoint here at Survivor Series as they put on a clinic. But John Cena is ultimately able to retain his WWE Championship. Interbranded match, ChatGPT choosing Batista, we're choosing Triple H, buried alive match, and Triple H gives that work to Batista, securing the victory for SmackDown. Post-Survivor Series, it's real close, neck and neck, a difference of 30,000 fans. It's gone back and forth, but there's gonna be a victor at the end of this thing. Orlando Jordan challenges Eddie Guerrero for the US title the same night as a scheduled tag title defense. Eddie takes the singles match, leaving Kurt Angle left to defend in a handicap situation. Angle puts up a great fight, but is unable to overcome the numbers of La Resistance. Eddie's successful title defense would subsequently earn him a title match with The Undertaker at Armageddon. Chavo Guerrero, Rob Van Dam, and the Cruiserweight Champion Paul London all competed in a triple threat tables, ladders, and chairs match, and this thing was chaotic, it was painful, but Chavo was able to take advantage and walk away the new champion. La Resistance successfully defending their tag team titles against the Bashams and new acquisitions William Regal and Eugene. Eddie Guerrero successfully defending his US title in the first of 2 matches for him tonight. Rene Dupree was able to defeat Kane after he rejoins La Resistance. Chris Benoit would defeat Triple H in one-on-one action, and in the main event, Eddie Guerrero with his shot at the World Heavyweight Championship going up against The Undertaker one-on-one. But Kurt Angle stabs Eddie Guerrero in the back, betraying his friend, and The Undertaker would retain his title. Blockbuster news, we made a trade. Christy Hemme and Triple H for Big Show and Shelton Benjamin. An overall popularity swap of 145 for 139, so I think it's fair. And Triple H would instantly earn a title match upon his return to Raw after defeating Chris Jericho and Batista. At New Year's Revolution, Booker T, Rey Mysterio, Christian, and Randy Orton would compete in a gauntlet match according to ChatGPT, where Randy Orton would emerge victorious. Women's Championship match, we've got Lita back in the title picture, along with Christy Hemme taking on Trish Stratus in a triple threat match, and Christy Hemme would shock the world. Shawn Michaels taking on Ric Flair in one-on-one competition, and it's safe to say Shawn Michaels is happy to be back on Raw. The King of Kings would once again become champion after winning an Elimination Chamber match to bring the WWE into a new year. Team Angle would help Shelton Benjamin defeat Eddie Guerrero for the United States title. Christy Hemme defending her women's title at the Royal Rumble. Unfortunately, her title reign would not last long. Chris Benoit challenging Shelton Benjamin for the United States Championship. Unfortunately, in this match, Shelton Benjamin would be injured, would be sidelined for 13 weeks. John Cena would attempt to regain his WWE Championship against Triple H in a TLC match. Unfortunately for Cena, he would come up short. The Undertaker finds himself once again defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Kurt Angle in a one-on-one match. This time, Kurt Angle holds nothing back and is able to become the new World Champion. It's time for the Royal Rumble. Entries number 1 and 2, Charlie Haas and Robert Conway. Not the most exciting 2, but we had an exciting end with 2 previous Royal Rumble winners. But it would be Chris Benoit locking himself in for a WrestleMania title match. Eugene and William Regal would become new tag team champions after they defeated La Resistance. Rob Van Dam regains the Cruiserweight Championship in a no DQ match against Chavito. Chris Benoit would defend his United States Championship in a battle royal against 5 other competitors that would see Paul London coming out on top. the new champion. Kurt Angle was able to find a way out from The Undertaker's grasp and defeat the Dead Man in a steel cage match to keep the World Heavyweight title. WrestleMania SmackDown vs. Raw tournament kicked off with Rob Van Dam defeating Edge in a steel cage match, scoring a point for SmackDown early. We would then see an 85 popularity Paul London take on a 92 popularity Christian, where Christian would score a point for Raw, tying it up 1-1. In the rubber match, SmackDown's The Undertaker going up against Raw's Chris Jericho. And you know it was The Undertaker at WrestleMania, folks. This man wasted no time in delivering the pain and securing that victory for SmackDown. WWE Championship match. It feels a little bit like 2000 because we got a fatal 4-way for the WWE title. John Cena, the former champion, Randy Orton, the young gun, Chris Benoit, the Royal Rumble winner, and Triple H, the champion. Momentum swang in every direction in this match. It could have gone in any way, but ultimately we saw Chris Benoit apply the crippler crossface and secure his WWE Championship. World Heavyweight Championship match. The most personal match in this entire video. The culmination of the biggest rivalry in this entire year. Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle, former friends, former tag team champions, now enemies. They put on an absolute banger in this WrestleMania main event, and they deserved every spotlight that the Showcase of Immortals had. Both men relentless with one another. It wasn't just about the championship, it had become personal. They wanted to hurt one another. Kurt Angle had betrayed Eddie Guerrero, and Eddie Guerrero had costed Kurt Angle a shot at the World Heavyweight title earlier in the year, and neither one was holding anything back. But ultimately, when the dust had settled, it was Eddie Guerrero, Latino Heat, walking away the victor in this last man standing match. And with WrestleMania behind us, there is nothing left to do but crown the victor, the general manager of the year, and this time it is SmackDown. Team Human, we come away with the victory, and we can in fact defeat ChatGPT in GM mode. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy.